So, something else that sticks out in my mind, this is going to sound so silly. I don't know why it sticks out in my mind, but I think I was in second grade and we had to have a dance partner in the class. I don't even know why second graders would be dancing, but I know Mario asked me to dance with him and I threw a fit. It was embarrassing. I wasn't embarrassed at the time. It was embarrassing later whenever I'm like, why did I throw a fit over Mario? Because then I hurt his feelings and I felt terrible about that. I felt terrible. I mean, it had nothing to do with him. I wasn't reacting because of him, because I don't remember not liking Mario. He was a nice, quiet little boy, right? But I was repulsed. Like, I can't do this. And that sticks out in my mind, maybe because I've never given it enough thought to figure out what the hell that was about. But anyway. But I do remember seeing the look on his face, and I ran over there and started dancing with him because I didn't want his feelings hurt. You know, my grandmother always said, you're just like me. From a young age, she would tell me that, but she would never explain it. It took me until I was probably a young teenager to start somewhat understanding. I knew she was a Pisces, and I'm a Pisces. But what I figured out is she's talking about the psychic abilities, the intuition, being able to feel other people's feelings, being empathic. And we had this way of, I could look at her from across the room, and it was like we read each other's minds. And this happened to me at a young age. You know, the psychic stuff, mediumship, psychic stuff, that runs in families. I guess I failed to mention at the beginning that I'm a psychic and a medium. I guess that would have been relevant information on the first recording, but maybe I can figure out a way to edit that and add it. Maybe. It's going to be very unprofessional how I do it, because I don't have a clue how to do all of that. So if it sounds all choppy, that's because I don't have a clue. But I'll try to add that. But that runs in my family. My grandmother was very psychic. My mom did some stuff like that is mind-blowing. The thing is, they never labeled it. So nobody was called a psychic or medium, because God forbid, you're going to go to hell if you're that. So just don't call it anything. Just describe what's going on, and that's good enough. My mom would do things like, for example, my sister's cat. My sister was allowed to have cats. Now, like I said earlier, I was highly allergic to them. They couldn't be indoor cats, but my mom allowed her to have outdoor cats. Every cat was named Asshole. I mean, I think it had a real name that Angel named it, but Mom called them all Asshole. And she just wasn't very fond of cats. She never hurt an animal, but she called them all assholes. So one day, asshole number 10 gets hit by a car. This is when we lived in Texas. Got hit by a car. And you know how cats run off when they're injured. And that night, Mom had a dream of where the cat was. And Angel's devastated, couldn't find the cat. But Mom had a dream of where the cat was. It was a good ways away from where it got hit. And she told Dad, go there and such in this area and get that cat. And Dad was like, huh? She said, just go. Well, Dad believed her because he's witnessed what she's done. And sure enough, the cat was there. And she would do things like that. Or Angel and I both had friends over one Friday night. They're spending the night with us. And we had baked cookies at 10:30. 9:30 that night. Well, Mom and Dad go to bed about 10:30, and 10:45, Mom rolls in the living room. Did y'all turn that oven off? Yeah, Mom, like an hour ago. 11:30, Mom comes in the living room. Did y'all turn that oven off? Are you sure that oven's off? Mom, I don't know how many times we could check it. The oven's off. 12 o'clock, Mom comes in. The oven's off, blah, blah, blah. 1 o'clock rolls around. Girls, make sure that oven's off. I'm like, you're ridiculous. Well, about between 1:30 and 2 a.m., the house across the street blew up because the people went out of town. They had some kind of gas leak, but the house blew up, and it was from the oven. I sound like, damn, you witch. But that's how we grew up, being subjected to that kind of stuff. She's very intuitive. Mom was strict in one way, in some ways, but not in others. She wasn't the type that said, when you come in, your curfew is midnight or 11 o'clock, however, depending on what our age was. And she'd say, let me smell your breath and make sure you're not drinking. She put trust in us. Angel was the bad one. I was not. Well, let me rephrase. I had my moments, but I was very, very good at maneuvering around. It sounds like bullshit, doesn't it? Because it is. Yeah, I had my moments. Both of us, neither one of us were doing horrible things. I'd go out and hang out with my friends, and we'd do like most teenagers do, and experimenting with drinking now and then. Actually, we were usually the ones having the party because Dad ended up working out of town some, and so we had massive parties. I was getting ahead of myself, though. Totally getting ahead of myself. Let me go back to party days. Let me talk about where I was headed with this story before I was about to just out my sister for all the stuff she did. Mom was a good mom, though. She was a provider. She never missed a single thing. Neither did Dad. No games that we played did she miss. No music performances. She was there, and gosh, I miss her. But I'll go back to party at the house. Because I started to talk about being empathic when my grandmother would say I was just like her. And so, we come from a psychic family. Now, the house that my grandparents lived in and owned in Biloxi, it was actually in Ocean Springs, Mississippi. We call it Hell House. This house was, it had some crazy energy. Now, when I was growing up, nobody really talked about it, but we all had experiences. So Angel and I would stay there every summer and Christmas holidays, and we'd always stay in the middle bedroom. And in the middle bedroom, it had a bed. So if you walk in, the head of the bed's up against the left side of the wall, and straight ahead's a window, and to the right in that corner is a closet. So you would have to walk past the closet, kind of past the window to get in the bed if you were sleeping on the left side of the bed. So we'd fight over who was sleeping on the right side of the bed because the closet was creepy, and they had this crocheted. It's funny because I'm laughing because it was a black crocheted poodle sleeve that went over a bottle. So there's like a glass bottle, and you put this crochet poodle over the bottle. And it's funny because years later I ended up with a black poodle. But we were terrified of that thing. It was creepy. But I would wake up every morning on the dot at 3 a.m. having severe night terrors. Now, I don't even remember having them. Like it wasn't until maybe 10 years ago that we were all sitting around Thanksgiving dinner talking about my night terrors when that was the first day I learned that was what was going on. What I remember is waking up and my grandmother would be rocking me, feeding me orange or lime sherbet. That's what I remember. And now I know she was rocking me, feeding me orange sherbet to try and wake me up because they couldn't wake me up. And the night terrors, they said they were horrific. I don't remember them. I do remember being very scared in that house. Everybody was. My mom's best friend had experiences in that house. She took to her grave. She wouldn't even talk about it. She got up in the middle of the night, went to a hotel, and it's like she saw a ghost because she did, and she never even shared it. It was that upsetting. But we would see all kinds of things. You would hear, oh my gosh, everything from what sounded like an army marching up and down the hall to full-blown breakfast being cooked at 3 a.m. when nobody was in the kitchen. My cousin saw a lady that looked like from the 17 or 1800s, the gown she was wearing. She would not just dart past the bathroom door, she would slowly move, so you got a good view of her. I had some things happen there that I don't even know if I could say without y'all thinking I'm crazy. Just things like I'll just say it, there was a bug on the baseboard, and a tiny bug. And how, if I'm walking through the living room, am I going to stop, turn around, and be drawn to this tiny bug in the corner on the baseboard? But I was. And I stood there like, what is this? Like, I felt like taunted. And then I thought, I am batshit crazy because a bug's not taunting me. But then it disappeared in just midair. And like, oh, goodness. My grandfather had things like, right after my grandmother died, in fact, a frog jumped. She collected frogs. That was her thing. And the frog jumped and landed on his shoe and then disappeared. My grandmother was, she went through some hard times there because, you know, everybody's questioned, what was it? What caused all of this? Was it the house? Was it the land? Well, the house they built, so it wasn't like somebody else had it before and died. They built the house. So, but you know, Biloxi, so Biloxi High School is Biloxi Indians, right? Everything's Indian. So it's there's a lot of Native American land around there. And my belief is that it's the land. They built on what could have quite possibly been an Indian burial ground because they owned the property that they were on, which was about an acre, a little over an acre. And then there was another, like probably 2 acres of land that connected to this tract of land behind that. And I remember seeing these hills and thinking something was off about it. But my point is, I think it was just sacred land. And here they come and dig it up. And, you know, and Americans especially they don't really honor the land. Native Americans are about honoring the land. Like if you cut a tree down, plant 2, you know, give an offering back to the earth. I think it's important to do that, actually. I'm more aligned with Native American traditions, believe it or not. But there were so many things that happened in that house. And, you know, as we got older, we talked more about it. You know, when my grandmother, before she died, bless her heart, she went through hell. She was declining quickly. And one weekend, my mom and I went to stay with her. My mom was staying in the front bedroom. I was staying in my So the sentence cut off mid-sentence because I am having trouble uploading to YouTube, so I'm just making the audio shorter. So that's why the sentence will continue in the next video.